Hey guys, it's Emma, and today I want to do a little recap of this weekend's adventure. I didn't actually vlog. I took a few videos here and there for a few reasons. One, our camping trip was cut short. Two, I brought Denahi with me, so I really didn't have time to focus on filming and vlogging. I had to pay attention to him. So this weekend, it's President's Day weekend. I wanted to do something, so I invited my friends Kurt and Chantal to go camping. They picked the location and the hikes and everything and suggested I bring Denahi, and I figured why not? Denahi's never been on a real camping trip. He has been camping with us, but it was like on our road trip across the country from Ohio and back. We just stopped a few places and camped, but this was like actual hiking, camping, all that sort of stuff. So this was his first real hiking adventure. I say I had to keep a close eye on him because he is not the most well behaved. He's not bad by any means, but he just definitely has trouble focusing in public areas. So I just had to keep a close eye on him, especially since this was his first time. So we get there, we went to Grand Staircase Escalante, the southern end. So Dan and I had done the northern end. We did Coyote Gulch in October. Kurt and Chantal hadn't been to the southern end either, so we thought this would be a great chance. We drove down a dirt road, really well-maintained dirt road, and we stayed near-ish Cottonwood Narrows / Yellow Rock Trail. I don't know the actual name of like the camping area, but that's where we were abouts. We get there, we set up camp, and then we went and did Yellow Rock first. I believe this hike was more challenging than any of us thought. The first bit was fine. There was like one creek crossing, and then we get to this saddle. It was vertical. It was literally like no switchbacks, just straight up this avalanche chute, super steep, and it was only like maybe like 2/10 of a mile. It was not that long, but it was so steep. This was Denahi's first actual hike in like 6 months, so he did great though. No worries there. My only concern though, it was really slick and really rocky, and I was really worried about his feet. So we get up to the top, we learn that we're not even halfway to Yellow Rock yet, and Denahi's wiped. I'm also wiped. And his feet were looking raw. So I'm like, listen, if we're also gonna be hiking tomorrow and possibly Monday, I don't wanna push him today. So we sat it out for like 30-40 minutes while we waited on them. And then I got his boots out, I put his little shoes on. He's not a big fan of them. He'll definitely tolerate them, but he needs a few moments to adjust. So I put them on, we walked around while we waited and got him used to his shoes. And then was the way down. So I don't really do much off-leash hiking with Denahi. It really makes me nervous because he's not the best in public. He'll run after another dog if there is one. But he is nice. He's just crazy. So I was really nervous to let him off leash, but I'm like, I'm not going down this saddle with him leashed. He will drag me. One of us is gonna fall. So I went down first so that he knew where to go. And then they released him, and he did great. Obviously he probably did the best because he has 4 legs on the ground and his really low center of gravity. He did great, especially with the shoes on. That made me a little more comfortable. I didn't want him getting injured that soon into the trip especially. And then he was ready to go. So he led the way the rest of the way down. And that was pretty much it for the first day. That was Yellow Rock. And then we got back to camp. We made dinner, we made a fire. That was pretty much it. We chilled around the fire for a while. It was cold, but we were tolerating it around the fire, especially since we had stuff like ramen and hot chocolate to keep like our insides warm. And then I go to brush my teeth and I'm like, guys, my toothpaste is frozen. They're like, there's no way. I'm like, not coming out. And then you wanna come say hello? And then I go to take a drink of water as well, and I'm like, yeah, guys, there's a thin layer of ice at the top of my water bottle. And we were all kind of shocked. We didn't expect it to dip below freezing, at least that early. I was kind of anticipating it dipping below freezing. Anyway, we get in the tents. I feel fine. I had on 2 pair of leggings, sweatpants, 2 pair of wool socks. I had on like a thermal thin shirt. I had on this waffle shirt. I don't know what else to call it. It has got like a waffle pattern, and a puffy, and a hat, and a buff, and mittens, and a blanket inside my sleeping bag. Okay, so I'm ready to go. I'm going to be so toasty tonight. I'm gonna sleep so good even though it's cold. I had a blanket for him. I had 3 blankets for him. 1 on the bottom, 1 on top, and then 1 off to the side, just in case he wanted to use it as a pillow or something. I wake up 2 hours later shivering. Bad. Just like a little tremble here and there. So I like move my legs around. I'm like breathing down my shirt to get my core temperature heated back up and try to like raise my heart rate to get me warm. It worked. I fell asleep pretty quickly after that. Woke up again at 1 a.m. Well, I was looking at my watch. My watch was still in Las Vegas time, so that would have been around 2 a.m. Utah time. Shivering. This time, shivering bad. Like, I could not stop shivering, no matter how much I focused on my breathing and everything. And my toes were also numb. So I have really bad circulation, so I'm not really like the best judge, but I couldn't feel my feet at that point. But once again, I do what I gotta do. I'm like moving around my sleeping bag, probably causing a huge ruckus. I fall back asleep again. And then every time I'm waking up from shivering, I go to check on him. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried about him. He's probably so cold. I know he has fur. but whatever. Both times I looked over at him, he had taken his blanket off that I put on him, and he was fine. He was just chilling there in a little ball, not shivering, looking at me like, what are you doing, you crazy lady? He definitely fared the best out of the 4 of us. Anyway, again, wake up another 2 or 3 hours later. This is like 4 or 5 a.m. shivering, but I hear Kurt and Chantal. What are they doing up? I mean, I was about to get up at that point. It was dark. It was only 5 a.m. just because I'm like, I need to do something. I need to go warm up some water and drink some hot water to raise my temperature. I need to go on a walk and raise my heart rate. I need to do something. And then I hear them start the car and I'm like, say less. So I got out of my sleeping bag as quick as I could. I'm like, Denahi, we're going in the car. So we idled the car for a long time. I felt really bad, like emissions wise, but I'm like, listen, we are all not like about to die, but we were miserable. And then the 4 of us slept in the car for like 4 hours. We eventually turned it off and slept in the cold car, which was still better than the cold ground. That was pretty much it till the sun rose. So the sun rose, it hadn't quite gotten over the mountain yet, and he was fussing. Denahi was fussing. I'm like, I know he's probably hungry. It's like 2 hours past when I normally feed him. He probably has to pee. So we got up. I didn't really want to, but I also had to pee really bad at that point. So we went pee. I took him on a walk, again without his leash. He did really well, but I think that also is attributed to we've been working on his recall like at home when we go on walks, and of course reward him with treats. He's very food motivated. We get back, Chantal's up, she's collecting firewood. So before we all fell asleep in the car, we had collectively agreed that, okay, we are not sleeping here again. We planned on 2 nights, but we're like, we cannot do this for another night. That was the worst conditions any of us had ever camped in. So we're like, hey, we still have 2 pieces of firewood left. Let's start a fire in the morning. Let's get toasty. So Chantal was collecting firewood. We made breakfast, gave Denahi food, made a fire. It was a pretty good morning. And then once the sun came up, it was great. In another month, I bet going there would be perfect. Not too hot, not too cold, but don't go in February, people. And then that was pretty much it. We just spent the morning slowly packing up camp, and we're like, well, you know, we drove all the way over here. It was like 4 or 5 hours. Like, let's do at least one more hike before we head back to Vegas. So we did the Cottonwood Narrows. Absolutely beautiful. We did the North Trail. There's a North trailhead and a South trailhead. The north one we read is definitely more scenic, so that's why we did it. It is a loop though, but we were all so tired. We're like, let's just do a little bit, see some scenes, and then get out of here. So if you park at the north parking lot, there's a sign that says trail, and then there's like a little footpath. Don't follow that one. It's like another 20 yards up the trail, up the road. And then again, Denahi off leash, he did really, really well. It also helped that it was a slot canyon, so like he couldn't wander off, but it was really pretty. There was ice down there. Yeah, we woke up and the river, it's a creek, was frozen. Our water bottles were frozen. So crazy. So we, in the Cottonwood Narrows, yeah, the water was frozen. There was some snow. That was pretty much it, the highlights. It was just really pretty, really scenic. So highly recommend it. Loved Grand Staircase Escalante every time we've gone. Well, both times we've gone. When we went in October though, weather fantastic. It like didn't get above 70, and I don't think it dropped below 40 or 50. It was so comfortable, not hot or cold, perfect. So again, like spring, fall in Grand Staircase. In the scenes, it is such a beautiful place. It is a national monument, so it's not like a national park, but it is still protected public land. Highly encourage it. This might be controversial, but I liked it more than Arches National Park. Again, I think I talked about it more in our video about Arches, which will be linked above. Arches is just so overcrowded that it took away a lot of the fun for me, but Grand Staircase, both times we've been, we see a handful of people, and that's it. Very underrated and super, super pretty. So that was pretty much it for the journey. We got home, I cleaned up real quick, gave him a bath because our campground was like really sandy, so he was filthy. So yeah, overall, it was a great weekend. I'm still really glad we got out and we did something over the weekend. Camping is always so fun, but honestly for me, I don't think there's anything I could have done better to prepare for the cold. I had blankets galore, I had socks, I had a hat. There's really nothing else I could have done. So it was still fun, but it was also miserable. The daytime was a lot of fun. Nighttime, not so much. This coming weekend, I don't really have plans. I might do something small, but I am gonna be prepping for Zion, and by prepping I mean packing. And then in 2 weeks is Zion, Angel's Landing. I am getting nervous, so we'll see how that goes. I did get some micro spikes last week in preparation because I heard that it's icy there still. A little nervous. Anyway, I don't really have any other big plans for this spring. I do want to go check out Saguaro National Park and Joshua Tree National Parks before it gets hot. I don't want to go to those places in the summer. People are speculating that Death Valley is not going to have much blooms this year. I was really hoping that it was going to be a good bloom year so I could go see the Death Valley flowers. Probably not. So yeah, we'll see what else I get up to this spring. But thank you for coming along and listening to this story. Not my typical little video. Not our typical videos over here, but I hope you enjoy it. If you like these talking head videos, let me know. I thought it might be fun to do some videos like beginner hiking tips and like an in-depth gear review, stuff like that. So if that's something you want to see, let us know down below, because ultimately this channel is for you guys. Yeah, we share our adventures. It's a platform for us to share our adventures, but it's also a platform for you to learn and gain information as well as be entertained. So let us know down below what you want to see from us. But that's all that I have for now. We will see you in the next one.